Connie Glaser is a top expert on women's leadership and communications. Her influential books have been translated into over a dozen languages. A regularly featured media guest, Connie has appeared on The Today Show, CNN, and NBC Nightly News. Her syndicated column, Winning at Work, appears in leading business publications around the country. As a keynote speaker and consultant to Fortune 500 companies, Connie is known for her ability to address challenging issues with insight and humor. Her clients include FedEx, AT&T, Time Warner, ESPN, Johnson & Johnson, Coca-Cola, and the U.S. Navy. With a master's degree from the University of Michigan, Connie has served as a faculty member for the American Institute of Banking and the International Management Council. Connie has been honored as Businesswoman of the Year by Office Depot and has been inaugurated into the world who's who of women. Please join me in welcoming Connie Glaser.
Thanks, Mary Beth, and I am so thrilled to be here today. I have been living in the South, actually in Georgia, for the last 30 years, but I am a very proud native Detroiter, born and bred, thank you. So I am so happy to be back here. And it was quite interesting in the panel when you were talking about getting students, young students, elementary school students into the plant, showing them, showcasing opportunities in the automotive industry. I went to elementary school, Detroit Public Schools, and every year we would take our annual trip to the Ford River Rouge plant. And I guarantee you, we did not see a single woman while we were there. So congratulations to the fabulous program and the panel that we have just had. When I was growing up here, there were so few women and so few opportunities in the automotive industry. And to stand up here today and to see over 500 women, talented, successful, capable women who are here because of their achievements and accomplishments and to support one another, I will tell you, it makes my heart sing. So thank you to the Automotive News, and thanks for the opportunity to be with you today. I flew up yesterday from Savannah, Georgia, where I live, and there is one flight from Savannah to Detroit, and it is at 6:55 a.m. And I don't do 6:55 a.m. very well, and I do 5 a.m. when one has to leave the house, even worse. So I get on the freeway and I'm driving to the airport, and Natch, they're doing road construction at 5 o'clock in the morning, and now traffic is at a standstill. And I am sweating it because I've got to get on this flight. And as I am sitting there, kind of thinking about what happens if I miss the flight, I did think back to another situation, this was early on in my career, when I was also feeling stressed by traffic conditions. It was one of those mornings when, as a working mother, I was trying to get myself out the door and get my 4-year-old out the door simultaneously. Drop him off at daycare and get myself to a meeting, all on a timely basis. That particular morning, the traffic signals were not working to my advantage on the way to preschool. Finally get to the preschool, drop my son off, give him the perfunctory kiss goodbye, and don't think about anything else, because it was a pretty typical day. The following week, however, it was parent-teacher conferences at the day school. And the teacher says to me, Connie, do you remember when you dropped Russell off last week? I said, yes. She said, well, on that particular day, we were talking about the traffic signals and what each color light designates. I think you see where I'm going with this one. So she said, the first question that I asked the class was, who knows what green means? And she said the hands were wildly waving in the air, and David was called upon, and he aptly responded, green means go. Oh, very good, says Miss Abernathy, and who can tell me what red means? And once again, the hands flailing around, and Jennifer is called upon, and she responds, red means stop. Ah, says Miss Abernathy, but who can tell me what yellow means? At which my son Russell yells out, go fast! So I learned very early on in my career that it is not the words by which we communicate, but rather the action. And the action in the workplace has changed very dramatically over the course of the last 2 decades. I do a wonderful presentation for Women's History Month, where we take a look at the development, the evolution of women in the workplace as seen through the lens of the perspective of the media. So I want to share with you a couple of slides because I think it's very helpful when we talk today about how far women have come to have a little bit of historical perspective in terms of where we were just a few decades ago. How many of you here were in the workplace in the 70s? I wouldn't be surprised if when you came into the workplace, if you might have had your little floppy tie on, because women were told in the 70s that we needed to dress for success. So we put on that blazer, we put on the floppy tie, and I love this ad. It's a classic blazer, styled for a woman, sewn like a man's, and do you see the guy lurking behind her? He's got to check out the blazer, if it was properly constructed, or maybe something else. As we go into the 80s, now how many of you were in the workplace in the 80s? I see a lot more hands because now we're starting to see some mass infusion of women. And how many of you actually wore a pantsuit or suit with the shoulder pads? Because that was our uniform. We wanted to show that we could be like the guys and be assertive also. And I love this one from Ralph Lauren. So she had on the pinstripe suit and the hands in the pocket. Check out the next one, though. This is Yves Saint Laurent. And tell me if this is a woman whom you would like to work for. So a little bit extreme, but we women wanted to show that we could do the same stuff that guys could. And we even saw women who were taking on certain mannerisms or habits that men did. And then the question was, did you have to be a man in order to be successful? Or did you have to be a male clone? In the 1990s, all right, now let's see how many people were in the workplace in the 90s. All right, a good number. In the 1990s, in the beginning of that decade, there was a book that came out that was called Swim with the Sharks. The subtitle of the book was how to outswim, out-navigate, out-motivate, outperform, out-negotiate all the other sharks, I paraphrase that, all the other sharks in the water. The question was, did you have to be a shark now in order to be successful? And you know the type. The shark was that ruthless predator navigating the water looking for prey. But for most women, this wasn't a comfortable fit. In fact, for most women, being a shark really created a makeover. From caring to tough, from motivating to controlling, from empowering to overpowering. Because, quite frankly, most women are not like sharks. In fact, we're different. If we had to pick some type of creature from the sea, I venture to think we're more like dolphins. So when you think about dolphins in nature, what kinds of characteristics come to mind? Throw them out at me. Smart. Okay, someone said smart, and they are. They are among the most intelligent animals of the sea. And I call them animals because keep in mind, dolphins are not cold-blooded fish like shark. They are mammals, exactly, which means that they're warm-blooded, they nurse and they nurture their young. All right, what else? So they are smart. They're very intelligent. What else about dolphins? They're fast. Okay, they're fast. They're very flexible. They can maneuver very easily. Someone else said that they're playful. They're sociable, but they can be tough when need be. What else? Collaborative. They are collaborative. They swim together in webs as opposed to the solitary shark, the predator. And another thing about dolphins is they are outstanding communicators. In fact, they have the sense of what marine biologists call echo communications, which means that they have the ability to actually communicate with one another inaudibly, without even emitting a sound. And I dare say to the women in the room, I bet that you have a best girlfriend. And parenthetically, my best girlfriend happens to be here today supporting me, which I really appreciate. But we know when we talk to one another that you don't even have to say a word sometimes. That person just knows what you're thinking, what you're about to say. Dolphins have that same uncanny, intuitive sense of communications. So Barbara Smalley and I, my co-author, came up with this idea that there is this parallel, this new metaphor, this new paradigm for women in the workplace, how they can be successful not by being men, not by emulating sharks, but by building on their own inherent strengths as women. However, we are not marine biologists. So we thought before we wrote a book based on this premise that it was a good idea to actually check with someone who swims with the dolphins. We found a psychologist down in Grassy Key, Florida, in the Florida Keys. A psychologist, Dr. David Nathanson, who actually uses this exercise of swimming with dolphins to work with autistic children. And we called him up on the phone, and we laid out this new metaphor. We said, Dr. Nathanson, you're very familiar with the traits of dolphins. You use them in this exercise of working with autistic children. What do you think? And there was a long silence. And Barbara and I are looking at ourselves like, seemed like a good idea. But then he comes back and he says, I wanted to think about that for a minute. He says, I think it is a terrific idea. He says, I think it's a great fit. But let me tell you why. He said, when I have children down here to swim with the dolphins, the first question that they invariably ask is, what happens when a shark attacks a dolphin? Who comes out ahead? Who is the victim and who is the victor? And he said 9 times out of 10, it's the dolphin that prevails. And let me tell you why, he said. When a shark attacks a dolphin, it's not just that one dolphin that is being attacked. The other dolphins in her web will gather around and they will encircle that shark. And using their huge bulbous noses, they will circle and they will ram. And they will circle and they will ram that shark until finally the shark goes down. Now, to transcend into today's workplace, I'm not suggesting that when you return to work, although it might not be a bad idea, that all of the sharks are going to be on the mailroom floor. However, what we are seeing is that the dolphin style of management is a much better fit for leadership in corporations today. The old shark style of command and control, of my way or the byway, just doesn't fit anymore for a fast-paced, global, competitive environment. Talent today is key. We need to empower our employees, we need to value them, we need to acknowledge them, and we Dolphins happen to be great at that.